Our story starts with Will, a smart doctor who studies the brain. He was trying to find medicine to help people with a sickness called Alzheimer's disease. This terrible illness makes people slowly forget everything, even their own names. Will's father had this same disease, and since Will had no other family, he wanted to save his dad no matter what. After working day and night, Will finally created a special medicine. But testing it on people was too dangerous, so he first tried it on a female monkey. The results were amazing. The monkey became incredibly smart, much more intelligent than normal monkeys. Will was so happy and excited that he wanted to try the medicine on humans right away. Will told his boss about this discovery and presented it to the company leaders. Everyone was impressed because the results looked so promising. But during his presentation, something terrible happened. A worker tried to move the smart female monkey to another cage, but she didn't want to go. When the worker forced her, she became very angry, grabbed his hand, and escaped from her cage. The angry monkey ran through the building, breaking things and causing chaos. She burst into the meeting room where Will was giving his presentation. Even Will couldn't control her because she was too upset and angry. The security guards had to shoot the monkey, killing her instantly. After this incident, the company bosses decided that Will's medicine had made the monkey too aggressive and dangerous. They ordered all the other test monkeys in the lab to be killed because they had also been given the medicine. Will tried to convince his boss that his medicine wasn't the problem, but no one would listen to him. 5 years of hard work seemed completely wasted. However, the lab caretaker told Will the real truth. The female monkey hadn't become violent because of the medicine. She had just give. Caroline and Will became friends, and she started visiting their house regularly. She noticed that Caesar was always kept indoors and suggested they take him outside. Will thought this was a good idea, so they brought Caesar to a beautiful forest called Redwood. Caesar absolutely loved this natural environment. It was like paradise for him. For 2 years, Will, Caroline, and Caesar regularly visited the Redwood Forest. Will and Caroline had fallen in love, and Caesar had grown into a strong, intelligent ape. During one forest visit, they met a family with a dog wearing a collar and leash. The dog barked at Caesar. But what upset Caesar wasn't the barking. It was seeing the collar, just like the one he wore. Caesar asked Will in sign language if he was just a pet. Will assured him he wasn't a pet, but his son. However, Caesar was now smart enough to want answers about his origins. Will took Caesar to his old laboratory and explained that his mother had lived there, and the medicine they gave her was why Caesar was so intelligent. But back home, Will discovered that his father's condition was getting worse again. The medicine's effects were wearing off, and his father was forgetting how to do simple things like eating properly. Will realized the treatment was only temporary. While Will was at work, his father decided to drive the car, but because of his illness, he couldn't remember how to drive properly. He crashed into the neighbor's car, the same neighbor who had threatened Caesar years earlier. The angry neighbor pulled Will's father out of the car and started hitting him. Caesar saw this through the window and couldn't control his anger. He rushed outside and attacked the neighbor, biting off his finger in rage. Because of this incident, the neighbor took Caesar to court, and the judge decided that Caesar could no longer live at home. Animal control officer S came and took Caesar to a place where other apes lived. Caesar thought he was just visiting, so he was initially happy to see the activity area. But when he realized Will was leaving him there forever, he rushed to the glass wall and begged Will to take him home. Will explained sadly that Caesar had to stay there now. Caesar felt heartbroken and abandoned. Will's father's condition continued to decline, and despite Will's attempts to help him, his father passed away. Now Caesar was the only family Will had left. Will tried to pay the facility to release Caesar, and although the money convinced the manager, Caesar refused to leave. He had decided he no longer wanted to be anyone's pet. He wanted freedom not just for himself, but for all the apes trapped there. That night, some troublemakers visited the facility to taunt the apes. Caesar managed to steal a knife from one of them and used it to escape from his cage. He secretly made his way to Will's house and stole the new, stronger medicine that Will had developed for other Alzheimer's patients. Caesar returned to the facility and released the medicine gas, allowing all the other apes to breathe it in. Just like Caesar, they all became highly intelligent, gaining the ability to think and reason. Caesar's plan was working. Now all the apes were smart enough to escape together. Unfortunately, Franklin, one of Will's lab workers, had accidentally inhaled some of the medicine gas during an earlier experiment. Unlike the apes, the medicine was deadly to humans, and Franklin died. This revealed that the treatment only worked safely on apes. When a cruel guard tried to shock Caesar and the other apes with an electric stick, Caesar grabbed the guard's hand and spoke his first word: "No." He then knocked the guard down and freed all the other apes. When the guard tried to attack again with his electric weapon, Caesar earned a high-pressure water hose on him, electrocuting and killing the guard. Caesar led all the apes to a nearby zoo, where they freed even more apes and brought them into their growing army. They then went to Will's laboratory and liberated all the apes there too. Now they had a massive group ready for their journey to freedom. When Will discovered that Caesar and all the apes had escaped, he realized they were heading to Redwood Forest, the place where Caesar had been happiest. Will tried to call the facility but got no answer, so he and Caroline rushed there to find the place empty, except for one injured worker who told them Caesar had spoken and led everyone away. Caesar was leading his army of apes through the city toward Redwood when they reached a large bridge. Police had blocked their path, and a fierce battle began. Caesar didn't want to hurt humans. His goal was simply to get his fellow apes to safety in the forest. When helicopters attacked them, a brave gorilla jumped onto one of the aircraft, crashing it but sacrificing his life. Koba, another intelligent ape who had been tortured in laboratory experiments and hated humans, killed the helicopter gunner. However, when other apes tried to attack police officers, Caesar stopped them. He wanted to protect his people, not start a war with humans. The apes successfully crossed the bridge and reached Redwood Park. Will arrived shortly after and called out to Caesar. When another ape tried to attack Will, Caesar protected him. Will begged Caesar to come home and forget his anger, warning that police would kill all the apes. Caesar hugged Will and whispered that the forest was now his home. Will understood that Caesar had found where he belonged and wouldn't be coming back. He told Caesar it was his life to live and left him there. Caesar had become the leader of all the apes in their new forest home. Meanwhile, Will's neighbor, whose finger Caesar had bitten, began coughing up blood, and Franklin, the lab worker who had died from the gas, had visited this neighbor before his death, accidentally infecting him with the deadly virus. Since the neighbor was an airplane pilot who flew international routes, he would spread the virus around the world. The second part of our story takes place 10 years after the virus spread across the globe. The disease had killed most of the human population, while the ape population had grown stronger and larger. Caesar was still the leader of all apes in the forest, and he now had a son named Blue Eyes. One day, Blue Eyes and his friend were exploring the forest when they encountered a group of humans looking for a hydroelectric dam to restore power to their city. The dam was located in ape territory. When one of the humans saw the young apes, he panicked and shot Blue Eyes' friend, wounding him. The gunshot brought all the apes running, including Caesar. The leader of the human group, Malcolm, tried to explain that they hadn't come to cause harm. They just needed to fix the power plant to bring electricity back to their city. Caesar told them to leave and never return. Among Caesar's followers was Koba, who had been experimented on by humans and hated them deeply. Koba convinced Caesar that they needed to show humans their strength. Caesar agreed, and he led his entire army to the human settlement to deliver a warning. The once bright, bustling city was now dark and empty, with technology and civilization mostly destroyed. Caesar told Malcolm that if any humans entered ape territory again, they would be killed. He didn't want war, but he would protect his people at any cost. Malcolm was desperate because his community had no electricity, and their power plant was in ape territory. Going there meant certain death, but they couldn't live without power forever. Malcolm convinced his leaders to let him try talking to Caesar one more time. When Malcolm explained their situation, Caesar understood because he had lived with humans and knew how important electricity was to them. Caesar agreed to let them enter ape territory, but only if they surrendered all their weapons. Malcolm agreed, and his team began working on the power plant. Malcolm's wife and son quickly became friends with the young apes, and when Caesar's sick wife was healed by medicine from Malcolm's wife, Caesar decided to give the humans more time to complete their work. However, one of Malcolm's team members, a former police officer, didn't trust the apes and had secretly brought additional weapons. When Koba discovered the hidden guns, he was furious and told Caesar that humans couldn't be trusted. Koba wanted to drive them out immediately, but Caesar told him to be patient. This made Koba angry, and he accused Caesar of caring more about humans than his own people. Caesar became enraged and attacked Koba, seriously injuring him. Burning with desire for revenge, Koba went to the human weapons cache, stole guns, and killed several humans. He then returned to ape territory and set fire to several ape homes. When Caesar was alone, Koba shot him and left him for dead in the bushes. Koba then told all the apes that humans had burned their homes and killed Caesar. He declared himself the new leader and announced war against humanity. Meanwhile, the humans were celebrating because the power plant was working and electricity had returned to their city. Koba led his army to capture the human weapons depot, then used those same weapons to attack the human settlement. Many humans were killed in the assault. When a young ape who had been shot by a human earlier refused Koba's order to kill humans, because Caesar had taught him never to attack without reason, Koba killed the young ape. He also imprisoned any apes who wouldn't follow his orders. While fleeing the city, Malcolm and his wife found Caesar badly wounded in the forest. They took him home and nursed him back to health. When Caesar recovered, he told them that Koba, not humans, had shot him. Malcolm understood that Koba had started this war through deception. When Malcolm went to get medicine for Caesar's full recovery, he encountered Caesar's son, who was about to shoot him. Malcolm quickly explained that Caesar was still alive, and that Koba was the real traitor. Malcolm brought Caesar's son home, where the young ape was overjoyed to see his father alive. Caesar's son told his father how Koba had taken control and killed innocent people. The young ape then returned to free the imprisoned apes and innocent humans that Koba was holding captive. Malcolm helped with the rescue mission. During the rescue, Malcolm met the former police officer, who revealed that he had contacted the military by radio after the power returned. A large army was coming to wipe out all the apes. He had also planted bombs throughout the tower where they were trapped, planning to blow up any apes who climbed up, even if it meant killing himself too. Caesar arrived for the final confrontation with Koba. Seeing Caesar alive, the other apes realized Koba's betrayal. The police officer detonated part of the tower, killing many apes, but Caesar, Koba, and many others survived. When Koba saw that most apes were returning to Caesar's side, he began shooting at his own people. Caesar attacked from above, pushing Koba off the building. Koba managed to grab onto a metal rod and begged Caesar to save him. Caesar initially grabbed Koba's hand, but knowing that Koba could never be forgiven for his crimes, Caesar let him fall to his death. Malcolm and Caesar met one final time and shook hands, showing they had become true friends, just as Caesar had once been with Will. Malcolm warned Caesar that the military was coming, and that all apes needed to leave to prevent more war. Caesar replied sadly that the war between humans and apes could never truly end. Both species were now locked in a conflict that would continue far into the future. With this somber realization, the story comes to its conclusion, showing how intelligence and good intentions weren't enough to prevent the tragic divide between two intelligent species sharing the same world.